Hey guys, for this episode, I really want to talk about something important that happens all across all cultures and races. It's the mentality called crabs in a barrel. If you don't know, it's really about how when someone's trying to climb up and someone tries to pull you down just basically because it could be a derivative of envy, poverty, or maybe even not knowing what to do because someone else is succeeding and you're not. This episode, me and Russell talk about how it's been such a terrible plight for the Philippine culture, but in the end, there's a nice surprise and resolution to what's happening that is culturally tied to the Filipino. Thanks.
And now, the Monday Blues Podcast.
Hey guys, it's Charles and Russell back. Thanks for tuning in to the Crazy Rich Asians review. I honestly thought we needed more time.
Yeah.
On that one, don't you think?
Yeah, me too. I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, because I thought if we didn't have to like share the studio at the station, for those of you, we recorded it at Dash Radio, but today we're recording it in my house.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, we definitely needed a little bit more time.
Right.
But I think we got some good points in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So for the second episode, since it's supposed to be about Filipino Americans and Filipinos, right? Crazy Rich Asians was just an intro, kind of like, well, this is why we're going to unite. This is why we're putting together this podcast. And this is why we're going to be talking, right?
Nice, yeah.
So I don't know what the title's going to be yet, as we said in pre-production. It might be... No, I won't say it. I'll just put it in the title later on.
Okay.
So the first thing to address with the Filipino culture, which is, maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't. It's prevalent in both Filipinos in America and Filipinos who are native in the Philippines.
The motherland, yeah.
Right. Okay. So I text Russell and I go, hey man, let's come up with 10 positive things and 10 negative things. And then Russell busted out this list right away. Do you have the list in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you mind reading, just banging through it?
This is the negative part?
Yep.
The negative list.
Yep.
You know, and let me backtrack a little bit, because when I was making this list, it was not that I want to bash the culture at all, but it was just something that, you know, just dealing with the community, like in the past few years.
In America,
In
right?
America, yeah, in America.
Actually, and in the Philippines too.
In the Philippines too. Yeah, both. It's just traits that I've noticed that I've personally experienced myself, you know, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I probably have some of these traits somewhere, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I would like to believe that, you know, after being aware of it, that I, you know, tried to correct myself afterwards, you know what I mean, looking back. But I'm just going to go through it real quick. The first one's crab mentality. And the next one is this thing called Filipino time. And, you know, on a side note, there's like reasons why I put these in here, right? And the next one is inggit, or it's a term.
And it's both envy and jealousy.
Yeah.
It's very harsh.
Yeah. And then there's like backstabbing, you know. But I think that's in just human nature, you know what I mean? In general. I won't say how they really feel. So it's mostly like you have to kind of feel out the person and like read between the lines. And I just noticed that a lot especially in the Philippines, where they're just afraid to just speak up, you know. The next one is very judgmental, you know. And this one, I see it because I've just dealt with it a lot here. I don't know how it is in the Philippines, but a lot of men are like lazy, right? and they tend to like depend on the wife or the woman for the lot of the work.
I'm shocked by that, but we'll elaborate through this list, right?
Okay, yeah. This term called colonialism, right? Where I think it came from the war, World War II, and a lot, especially in the Philippines, where if it's stateside or made in America, or if it's something from America, that it's such a big thing.
It's better than the local.
Yeah, right. And the next one is brand whores. Like it's all about the brand, right? And don't get me wrong, I like quality stuff. I like quality things, but I think it gets to a point where it's just like you got to get it because of the brand, and it's like it doesn't make a person. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The brand does not make a person. And another one is they don't normally keep their word. Oh, a lot. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not trying to generalize like the whole,
Nation.
right? But these are just, and the thing is, these are like negative traits, but I'm pretty sure we're going to go over the positive traits too.
Sure. And the whole purpose of us going through this list, honestly, Russ, is we can't be hypocritical about things. Mm-hmm. Because not every culture is perfect. As a matter of fact, every culture is not perfect.
Right.
And I think to immediately address this right away and give positive feedback in repost, that's great. Mm-hmm. So that we're just going to knock out a lot of these traits. Because you nailed a lot of the traits. I think what I did was I just summed it into two other parts. I experienced this when I was growing up in the Philippines.
Okay.
Is a lot of Filipinos tend to brag about what they have in social settings.
Okay.
Instead of not bragging and being humble.
Yeah.
If you're like second generation, third generation money, it's like, oh, no, we're okay. And I hate to make it like Crazy Rich Asians reference again. Henry Golding plays humble quite a bit. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Albeit they're in a fucking studio set up airspace in an airline. My family's comfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I remember that.
Where there is a strong new money effect with old money also in Manila. Mm. For you listening, gather that up. Old money still acting like new money. Mm. Like I've been to a party where this was like one of Marcos's crony. And to understand the reference, Marcos is the longest tenured, like 20-year dictator, supposedly. Or dictator in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. I was at a party when I was very young. And these were people that's had money for like 10 years, 12 years deep. And they would brag about like, oh, we have another Mercedes flying in from Germany. It's like, what the fuck? You're old money. You're rich money. You're Oprah rich. Why are you bragging? Mm. So the other thing I wanted to add also was... and I think between your lists and these two other terminologies, they're all interstitial to each other.
Yeah.
Is passive aggressiveness. Mm. This is very dangerous.
Yeah.
And, we'll kind of like, because we'll be talking here for 3 hours if we went through all 12 of these.
Yeah.
So we'll tie them all together. But passive aggressiveness, pretty much as far as for your list, it could be interweaved with won't say how they really feel.
Yeah.
They don't keep their word. Judgmental. Because you could be passive aggressive and then by being judgmental.
Mm-hmm. Like very judgmental.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this has to do with because, again, don't hold me to this, Russ. For you who's listening, don't hold me to this. This is what I learned from martial arts by training in Filipino Eskrima, Kali, and Arnis. Supposedly, the first Filipino were the Itas. There was a small, pygmy, burly Filipino. Next were the Indonesians and the Malaysians, the Proto-Malays. and then it was the Chinese, and then the Spanish, and then we got freed in the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II. So you can imagine you get confused as a nation.
Yep.
I know.
that.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I could see that definitely.
Yeah, and I know like words like katawa in Indonesian. Tawa means smile in Filipino. Puti is white in Indonesian. Puti is white in Filipino. Inihaw is to grill in Filipino. Nihao is to, in certain Chinese dialects, is to grill.
Okay.
So there are transferred subsects of languages into our root language. So that's where we're comprised.
Okay.
So for shits
see
and
that.
giggles sake, let's tie in like 2, 3 together from your list. So remember, I just have passive aggressive and braggart.
Okay.
So maybe we could tie in don't keep their word, passive aggressiveness, inget meaning jealousy, and won't say how they really feel,
Okay.
and backstabbers.
Okay.
So we'll talk about the pool of that.
All right.
Do you want to start, or should I start with an example?
Well, something that came up to my mind right now when
Okay.
you said this, I think it reminded me of this saying called "bahala na," right? Ay, bahala na, right?
Right.
Which means sort of like, how do you
Let it happen.
Like, let it happen.
Whatever happens, happens.
right? And I think I've heard that a lot, just throughout the Philippines, right? Bahala na. It's like and growing up, especially like here in LA, right? And with our backgrounds, like we have a lot of deadlines, and we have we're in an industry where everything matters, right? Everything counts. So hearing that, it makes me feel like they're not really keeping their word.
Agreed. And it could be tied into being lazy.
Yeah, it could be tied into, yeah, you're right, Charles. It could be tied into being lazy, and I think it's just, maybe, is it the traffic that makes people like, or the heat that makes people kind of like just lazy from the weather over there in the Philippines, like where it gets so hot, like you don't really want to do stuff, and it kind of slows down the pace. Sort of like in Hawaii, everything feels so slow.
Very brilliant. I was holding back from mentioning being with the Island Block radio channel before.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So, of course, being observant, because I really wanted to understand like why things happen, right? Moving back to the Philippines a few years ago, one thing I experienced was, working in we have a family business. We have a printing company. And for me, when there's a deadline, and we have to deliver to the client, like here, especially here, like being my background in web design and graphic design, if I have a client that I'm doing a project for, that I definitely want to deliver on time, right? But there's an incident where we had a client's like I had a client in the Philippines, and I knew it was supposed to be delivered a certain day. And what shocked me was the attitude. I don't want to say it was attitude, but it was more like, yeah, it was an attitude of, oh, it's 5:00, Russ. Somebody at the office had told me, hey, it's 5:00. We're not gonna be able to deliver it on time, and I'm freaking out. Like, what the? We told the client it's gonna be delivered today, and you're gonna tell me at 5:00 that we're not gonna deliver it? And like, oh, we'll just deliver it tomorrow. Like, it was no big deal. And it totally threw me off my grid. Like, this is how it's done here? And I don't think it's done like that. I mean, and I don't want to assume the whole nation is like that.
Sure.
But that was the first time of many times I saw it throughout my stay there in the past 3 years.
Let me add context, and I'm not going to give another Bahala na example because you covered a pretty good ground, but let me just complement your point. One of the more derivatives, thanks to training in Eskrima and Arnis, was both the Visayan and the Mindanaoan Filipino warriors. They would pray to Bathala.
Okay.
So in time of war, they just I'm gonna metaphorically do it on the air, do the sign of the cross, but whatever their faith was in Bathala. So when they prepare to fight, they say Bathala na.
Oh, wow. I never knew that.
So if I die, I die. And that is very sociologically equivocal to Americans to go, you know what? Let's just sign Kobe Bryant. Let's just sign Shaquille O'Neal. Let's grab these two giants and let's not worry about it. We'll figure it out. That's what Bathala meant in that time.
Wow.
Let it happen.
Okay.
Let's figure it out. But let's just go for the gusto in business terms.
Okay.
Right? Like you belong to, you and your brother have started this, is it like a financial investment?
Yeah. Financial services.
Services for the people called Rufino Republic. Sometimes if you're looking for a larger office, you go, you know what? We'll figure it out. Let's just bounce from this office and move to this other office. We'll figure it out.
Right. That's
the spirit of Batalana.
Okay.
Let's just go to war anyways and do it.
And deal. Okay.
And the good parallel to this podcast is let's correct that fucking Bahalana personality. Yeah, it will happen.
Yeah.
No, make it happen.
Yeah.
In other words, the way I would love to correct your situation is, no, just print it. It's 5:37. Bahala na, I'll deal with the traffic.
Exactly.
That's the correct way. And that's probably what you would like in that context, in that situation, in that client service situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So thank God I didn't bore you with the fucking another story. But you hammered it pretty much.
Okay.
You know, so I just wanted to add context to where that was derived from.
Got it.
And that's how we could progress, right? Because we're kind of doing this bitch fest fucking 2018 in my bedroom, right? But in the way it's corrective. And it's the share.
Absolutely. And I think the best way to I think correct things is to create awareness for it. And it's like, let me give an example for that, Charles. A few years back, I produced a pageant called Miss Beauty of the Philippines, right? And this pageant, I've never done a pageant before, right? And it was just something that, kind of just through the networks, some people gave me ideas. I mean, just to make the long story short, right? But to do, and I had 6 weeks to do it, right? But everything had to be precise, meaning, the venue needed to be on point, the talents, the staff, everything, right? The team,
production segments,
hosts, right?
Food, makeup, lighting,
absolutely, right?
Tickets,
and
promotions,
yeah. And when I started dealing with I would like to call it the first gen Filipinos.
Please elaborate.
But that means is and I think it's, when I dealt with it, I dealt with people a little bit older than me, that actually I looked up to, because, in Filipino culture, we look up to our elders, right? So I've never worked with a community like that, like the first gen, titos and titas, I would call it, out of respect, right? But I just felt like when I was bringing people on board, and not everybody, because I had a really good team, and I'm really grateful for everybody that helped out, right?
Sure.
But there was just some incidents where I was excited about working with some people or someone, right? And they had that half-ass attitude about things, and it kind of disappointed me.
Still in line to bahala na.
Yeah, still in line to bahala na, right? But and also, actually, it's crazy because when I was making this list, I was thinking of those people that I dealt with.
I can imagine. So that's good. It's an interpersonal list for you.
But yeah, it was like the bahala na thing, and is it okay if I go with the others?
Sure.
It was like the crab mentality, where it's they saw some success in the pageant, but you know what? We're gonna do our own. Instead of see, my thing was to combine the whole culture, like uplift the Filipino community, especially here in LA. But instead of uplifting each other, everybody started like doing the crab mentality, the backstabbing, right? And then there was like, oh, we have practice, Filipino time. Oh, people don't show up till like 2 hours later,
That's bullshit.
right? A press con, but people won't show up for like we're like an hour late, and like I had some volunteers that were second gen, like they were actually born here, and they're like, and I'll never forget this because they were like, "Is this how it is?" Because they've done events with, just local LA events, and it's not specifically Filipino events, but they've worked with like studios and like just local. Growing up in LA, we were so like exposed to like the local studios,
Exposed and involved.
to entertainment, right? And to entertainment. And the first incident was we had a press conference, right? To introduce the pageant, right? And she was like, "Why are we like an hour and a half late? Is this how it is? It's so disorganized." And I was like, wow. Because I was feeling it, as much as we wanted to be on time, right, with the team, it's like there was an outside force that I felt like we couldn't control, and the outside force was like the other people we were trying to deal with. Does that make sense?
Sure.
That makes sense? Yeah.
Sure. It's all conducive to a giant storm, right?
Yeah, and I think, see, like when for example, Charles, like dealing with you, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're on point, you're precise, like you do what you do. Like if you say you're gonna do something, you do it. I mean, that's like,
And you execute.
And it's so professional, right? And this is what I was expecting from certain people back then when
At a large capacity.
yes, right? And I thought they were professionals, but it actually, I don't know, maybe I was expecting too much, or
Give me one example. One specific example for the listening audience, because right now we have the broad stroke.
okay.
So let's go specific into where, okay, they were late, or right now in context in line to what you're talking about, there was someone that didn't do something, or they were really late.
Oh, okay.
Could it be the press, or you set a time and then they showed up?
Yeah. For example, right? Not just the press, but even like I think like some of the contestants too, like were late. You know what I mean? Right? And of course, being that it's like our
Was it one of them that I liked?
no, I can't remember.
That I went on 3 dates with? Never got the bone.
This guy. That's another.
That's somewhere down the line.
Yeah, that's another episode.
I just like to reveal some of my embarrassing failures of dating Filipinos. Half Filipino.
He threw me off. He threw me off right now. But
Well, we gotta break the balance. But yes, so like one of the contestants not showing up on time. Because you're a
Yeah.
contestant. Hello.
yeah, it basically now that I think about it, there's a few. You know what I mean? And you know what the thing is, I was just trying to be very patient about things because I know that it's also nerve wracking, like to be in competition. I mean, all the girls worked hard for it.
Well, good. That's good to
competition.
know.
But there's just incidents, even like some people that we were trying to partner up with as far as the production side. I think that's where it really like blew me away because I considered them like to be working with us, right? Because obviously they have done something that I thought that was gonna like uplift the whole project, right?
And you recognize what they've achieved.
Yeah. But when it came down to delivering stuff, like, we had somebody agree that they were gonna do the gowns. And the funny thing is, we were waiting, and like we had an agreement, we had signed paperwork that they were gonna supply gowns for all the contestants, and it came down to they're gonna supply a gown to just one contestant. But it's like we just felt like we got we got left hanging. Is that making sense?
Sure.
We we got left hanging with a lot of stuff, right? And we had another incident where we had asked people to help sell tickets for us. And the funny thing is, one guy ran away with tickets, and we never got the tickets back. So
Wow.
we had to reprint tickets, right? And like void all those tickets that he had, right? But I'm like, did he sell those tickets and keep the money? If you look at the overall picture, if you're somebody that bought the ticket, who's gonna look bad? The producers, right?
The people running the pageant.
The people running the pageant. But we had trusted this guy to help us sell tickets, and then he couldn't come up with the tickets when it was time to turn it in. It was just like that. Like, those are like little things. I was just like, wow, these are people that I actually had respect for. You know, people that, like I said, in the Filipino community, like, we look up to our elders, right? So they're probably like 10, 15 years older than me. So I'm expecting them to act a little bit more mature.
Okay, so you've painted several scenarios just for one incident,
Yeah.
one production.
Yeah.
So, as an end result of what Russell's talking about, I've had several conversations with you, my good friend Vince, soloist. He used to be like one of the head guys for the Rhyme Along. I've talked to you and Vince, and I'm like, dude, I'm done working with Filipinos. I'm fucking done. I'll throw events at the Conga Room. I get a check from fucking Miracle Mile Entertainment
Yeah.
within 30 days.
Yeah.
I do promotions and marketing for Good Vibe. They tell me what to do. I do something. I get my return.
Yeah.
I work with I ran a label with my good friend Chris. We get distribution. The Japanese send us money. It's in the bank. As soon as we show them a shipping label,
Yeah.
wire money in the bank. Done. Done working with Filipinos, Russ. Vince, I'm fucking done. I'm done. I'm fucking over it.
Wow.
I love the food. I love my close friends, but there's no more room for any more Filipinos jumping in. To complement your point about people biting, even today, societal wise, on Instagram, people will follow you, but they will follow you to copy you.
Wow.
They will never like your photos, but they're just there to make sure they copy your style. I've been on a station where it's ran by two flips. The one flip was really nice. He's no longer with that station, ironically. Totally copied the editing style. The premiere show copied like segments. I have an episode where me, Jason, and Zach, we murdered these two folks that copied the segment and interview style. You know? But there are ways I feel to handle things. And the good solution to this, Russ, I think you may agree ASAP or not. If not, I'll explain to the listening audience who don't. Is to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
In other words, you threw a pageant, someone else copied it. Either you move forward and kept pushing forward with other endeavors, or you keep throwing pageants and then become in competition towards them.
Right. Right.
And then eventually you will work things out. And to make things very personal, me and Jay, my co-host, we've had a falling out. You and I had a falling out. But time healed it. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to like delve into detail. But you and I went on different directions of throwing promotions for an evening, right? With Richie. Let's just say that. The one thing I learned by staying and still throwing events is separate business from the friendship. In other words, if you, me, and Richie separated and stopped doing promotions, we could still hang out, go to San Luan and drink. But because of the Filipino mentality and taught via this list, we couldn't separate the personal.
Right.
We couldn't separate personal and business.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
With Jay, there was an effort-based issue on the program, right? But because I'm in my 40s now, and Jay's in his 40s, we handled it like really good friends.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like, sparse feelings that aren't parallel, but still me and Jay are good friends. And to knock this out, to not make it about completely Filipino, me and Warren had a falling out, But the one thing I did learn is you can't be also truly native. What I mean by that, Russ, is if you experience more life outside than just your tribe, the Philippines, like you've dealt with non-Filipinos who get the job done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've dealt with the same thing in business. Because of experiencing not just your tribe, I learned like, hey, you can move on. Mm-hmm. You can still be friends. Or you can be cordial in front of each other, but just never do business with that person.
That's true. That's true.
So that's the one great thing with my friendship with you, with Jay, with Warren, with Jeremy, with Nathan. They always text and check on me. I know you're in the Philippines. How are you, man?
Nice.
How are you doing? You can add Vince occasionally. He'll check in. Okay? So what me and Russell are talking to you about is true inherited experience. This is not, we're just angry and fucking fruit-la-laing shit.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So I wanted to share that. Well, I guess Russell's playing yin and I'm playing yang because Russell's hammering these examples of his past business experience. I can't relate other business experience, but to be more personal now. So that's a great thing that the way you've been relaying all this stuff.
Okay. Thanks, Charles. But one thing that I do want to bring up. Actually, a few things. I love this. Actually, I love this topic because it's just so close to my heart. You know what I mean? Like,
still deal with it.
Yeah, and we did the pageant, and yeah, you're right. Like, other pageants came after us. Other pageants came after us, and there was a pageant that got started the year after we did ours, who was supposed to help us with our pageant, but they backed out. And pretty much, if you look at the pageants now, it's pretty much a mimic of how we did ours in 2011, right?
Sons of bitches.
And you know the saying, you could get bitter, you can get better, right? And yeah, because it wasn't really, it's not like I don't want people to do pageants, right? I commend them. It's a lot of hard work. And it's stressful, right? And I just want to clarify the fact that, I moved on from that. You know what I mean? I'm only bringing it up now because I just wanted to use these as examples.
As a lesson,
right? But I've moved on from that scene, right? And actually, I'm so grateful for the fact that I was able to step out of that and like move forward with my own ventures, right? Other ventures, right? And let me just go backtrack a little bit. With one thing, and like I said in the beginning of this podcast, right? Mm-hmm. When I made this list, I think some of these traits I had to myself. You know what I mean? Like, won't say how they really feel. Growing up, I think I had a really hard time doing that. I had a really hard time just expressing how I really felt. And I think, I don't know, like being raised, it was just like if I talked back, it was like if I said how I felt, it was a sign of being disrespectful and talking back.
Why are you being American?
Yeah.
It's not us.
Right? And I think that was growing up. I think for me, that was a big conflict internally, right? Where it's like, and I saw that recently when I moved to the Philippines because especially the past, I would say 10, 15 years where I've been doing a lot of self-development, self-improvement and like, there's no way you can actually operate and run a business without changing like the software in your head, right? And I learned from mentors and coaches that are pretty much successful, not just money wise, but just in their lifestyle. And I got like coaching, and I was like, whoa, why was I having such a hard time speaking up, right? And then when I went to the Philippines, and I started like speaking my mind, I had an incident with my father, right, with my dad in the Philippines, and I was just speaking from my heart, like not like to fight him or to be disrespectful, but just to be clear, and this is on certain things that I wanted, and just so he knows how I feel. But I think he took it as a sign of me talking back, and it was like, and I'm so grateful for those moments, because those moments like actually made our relationship stronger, because I was like, I just wanted my dad to know who I really am, right? And by me being able to explain to him like how I really felt, and it wasn't easy, Charles. It wasn't easy. Like, hey, Dad, this is how I feel, and then he took it. No,
because you have a humble personality too.
Okay,
that's another restraining. Well, that sounds negative, but it's a restraining thing from being expressive.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So when I spoke up about feelings, it came off as, oh, you're not being a good child or son or whatever that was, right? And then I had to explain, no, that's not it. I grew up in LA where, hey, I go, Dad, you sent me to some schools that they tell you that you need to speak up, right? He sent me to a school called Flint Ridge Prep in La Cañada. Man, I've never seen kids talk back to their teachers the way these kids did. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just because they were being disrespectful. Those kids, they just grew up speaking their mind, right? And for me, it was like shocking, because it was like, whoa, I would never say that to an elder. I would never say that to like a tito, a tita, or like someone older than me.
Which,
right?
for the non-Filipino listeners, tito means uncle, feminine version. Tita means aunt.
Yeah. And I think, now that we're in this, part of the conversation, right? I'm beginning to see now why, people don't really say how they feel in the community, in the Philippines, right? Because, I'm sorry.
No, finish up.
Because it all starts even with the school system. I see it with like, as a young kid, when you go to school, whatever the teacher says, you do. It's all from the upbringing, right? It's like, and I don't even want to go that deep, but there's a lot of Catholic guilt involved in there somewhere.
Spice trade culture,
right?
Post-colonial culture,
where it's like, you're bad, you're a sinner, right? Everything you do is bad, right?
While in the meantime, Jesuit priests are jacking off in front of fucking their young students, getting busted in Rome.
Oh, well, yeah. See, so it's just so many. There's just so many like incidents. Now that I think about it, why it's hard for Filipinos to really say how they feel. There's this thing they call it the gray area, where it's like paramdaman. Is that the right word?
Sure.
Charles? Even when we drive in the Philippines, it's really like, here in LA, it's like left, right, straight, right? But there in the Philippines, there's no rules. You just gotta feel the other driver. If you're gonna sing it or cut him out, or it's just really being. And I was like, that's when I started learning, like, it's the culture. It's the culture.
And I guess we could call this the emotional and personality diaspora of the Filipinos. To largely complement your point, something that's somewhat backward, but it's a relief to me that after living in Glendale, I learned the bros, the R bros.
Yeah.
Do it. If you're not from LA and you're listening to this, there is a heavy amount of Armenians that live here in Glendale. They're very aggressive drivers. Mm-hmm. On the way to watch the UFC fight to Jason's house, he lives really close. He's like in the Glasso Park, Eagle Rock area, right? There's a 3-way stop. And this truck is a fucking plumbing company.
Wow.
I went on a full stop And then as I was about to go, they didn't stop.
My goodness.
Okay? So I honk.
Scary.
I honk at them. And you know what they do in return? They honk. So because they know they're at fault, but the immediate emotional reaction to it is to be angry and not be culpable or responsible for your fault. That's also something that's going to be challenging to changing what you're talking about that needs to be changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like, wait, we're at a 3-way stop. I'm the one who stopped. I almost hit you because you didn't stop. And then you have the gall to fucking honk back at me. So I flicked them the fucking bird and nothing happened, right? Because they probably knew they were at fault. But that's an instantaneous, passive aggressive reaction also to that.
Okay. But, I totally agree with you with Glendale drivers.
Drive up fucking Brand Boulevard, you'll see 20 smashed Camrys that are brand new.
To be honest with you, Charles, I'm afraid to even drive in Glendale because I had a huge car accident here in 2014 where the lady ran the red, 18-year-old driver, right, ran the red. And unfortunately, her father had connections in the department and they made it my fault.
I got hit twice.
Wow.
I got hit twice, like walking.
Whoa.
Like, we both stopped. I looked at him. He looked at me. I'm the pedestrian. I have the right of way. I walk. And then with barely any space, a fucking Escalade clipped me.
Wow.
So I get it.
Yeah.
So, being passive aggressive to me, that's part of that suppressive discipline that you're talking about. Just listen. Mm-hmm. Don't talk back. Yeah. Listen to the teacher. Listen to dad. Don't say anything bad. You know what happens is your daughter becomes a cum bucket at the age of 19 because she's attending La Salle University in Manila, or she's blowing the fucking UCLA football team. Because they become so oppressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then where does the anger start? Oh, the parents get mad. Because you're not listening. Well, Dad, guess what? You trained me to be a mute and have this freedom now. So now there's that personality clash.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Here's where I know you make your own money, Russ. Because I make my own money. I independently took on a broadcasting career in college.
Wow.
And I said, fuck you to my mom and dad because I'm paying for it. My dad, because I was taking broadcasting, he decided not to give me any. Like, my brother's a fully funded scholarship through Richard Dow, through his CSUN career. I had to pay for everything from junior college.
Wow.
Because he was like, no, I don't support that.
Okay.
I'm still paying for my student loans.
Wow.
I went to Art Center for one semester, one summer. Well worth it, but goddamn, I'm still paying for that fucking $80,000 semester and a half.
Wow, semester and a half, 80 grand?
Yep.
Man, what a great business. Art Center.
We should open up the Smart Center.
I know, right? I mean, that's another topic, Charles, because, I do financial services, and I'll tell you right now.
But you can go with it. It's our podcast. Fuck it.
College, man, it's a great business. And a lot of kids nowadays are getting out of school with huge loans, at least $60,000 in loan. And they're trying to find a job that's going to pay them 40 grand, right? A year. And I believe it's a fucked up system.
I agree too.
System,
I agree too.
Because it's like because the system is, you go to school, get good grades, work hard, go to college, right? So that you can get out of college with the freaking fat ass loan so that you can find a job to pay off your loan and your rent and you're assed out.
I'm on LinkedIn. Okay. So I check out the threads a lot. And, there's so many subtopics on millennials. Mm-hmm. They don't value a college education anymore.
It's not the same anymore.
It's not the same. And the other thing is because they're so capable technologically growing up since the age of like 12, 13,
Yeah.
they can do a bunch of tech jobs. They can do a bunch of programming jobs or like anything from SEO,
Yeah. Yeah.
to anything social media content creation. They all have cameras. They know how to run a digital camera.
It's a different world now. It's a different world now.
And it's changing with the Filipino kids too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, even in the Philippines, they're so. One thing about I'll tell you this.
You want me to turn on the AC? Are you cool?
I'm cool.
Okay.
I'm cool. But one thing I love about the Philippines or the Filipinos, we're so innovative. We're so innovative. Where it's like, you teach us something, or we can figure things out, right? You can even see that in the jeepney, right?
World War creation
Yeah.
or revamp.
The army, the GIs left the jeeps there, and they ended up using it as now it's public transportation.
Yep.
Right. But like this topic that we're talking about, it's such a. I think we're gonna have many episodes of this because there's just
Continuously.
because it's just like, how do you put a culture into one talk? You can't. It's just a continue and you can't even. We're just trying to create awareness for it because it's like it's the elephant in the room. Like, nobody really wants to talk about it. Trust me, it's more fun in the Philippines. I'm not saying it's more fun. It really is more fun personally, right?
Especially with the exchange rate, 58 pesos to a dollar.
Is it 58 now?
Yeah.
Wow. Right? Good for the dollar, right? Good for the dollar.
More girls in the Philippines.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
More
I'm happy for
sauna
you,
baths
Charles.
in the Philippines.
Man, I think.
It's more assisted showers in the Philippines.
Well, I think that's part of the tourism in the Philippines. That's what helps the tourism there. I think it's the unsaid, unspoken part of tourism.
I'm going to be very Filipino, Russ. And I don't know if I'm just falsely defending the Philippines.
Uh-huh.
It's not as bad as Vietnam or fucking Thailand.
It's not. But you got to admit, it's there.
There is Jackoff Avenue in Makati.
Right?
There is Come in the Mouth Boulevard
Yeah.
in Quezon City.
Yeah.
And there is I Am on Birth Control in San Fernando, La Union in the Philippines.
And unfortunately, it's how, some people make money, right? And they got to send their kids to do certain things, right? And, I've been to Thailand, I've been to Vietnam, and, even if you don't look for it, you kind of see things around being a tourist, right? Things you normally don't see here openly in LA, right? You just don't. But it's one of those conversations where it's like you're with your cousins and they bring up topics like, locations of where to get a massage, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. And I know people that just go there for that.
At least we don't have a child fuck village like Vietnam.
Yes. And
That's something else, dude.
that is something else.
There's being bad, I spank you, bad.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to your wife, bad. At least you don't have any diseases, right? Okay, be good. Manny, go back to Jinky. Back, yeah. But child fuck village is another thing.
Wow. And a positive side of this is now people are going to be more aware of it, that it does exist.
Yeah, and honestly, I
we
think
can put an end to
there's so many expats and jobs that are opening in Manila.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's decreased in. Now they're just regular whores, right? Like
Yeah.
of age, like 18 to 27.
I would like to believe so.
That's the. It's.
I would like to believe
I have a different vibe.
Yeah.
Where before this whole development in Bonifacio Global City, Makati, Quezon City, these are all major cities and metropolitans in Manila, by the way. Total natural investments in like Boracay, Puerto Princesa, Palawan, and now there's a new spot to see is Siargao. Everyone's probably thinking I'm naming like Chinese fucking dishes or some shit like that. But it feels like a little bit more exploratory than just let's do a sucky fucky trip, Russ.
Yeah.
Here's 10,000 milligrams. We're here for 10 days. That's 1,000 milligrams per day, bro. Let's do it. Do it, bro. Do it.
It's, you just sometimes you're just like, man, God bless America.
I'll tell you for sure. Do you have anything else to touch on? I may have a couple of quick blips to examples to touch on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can wrap in about 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
So, we're talking about crabs in a barrel, right? I'll give people a big example. There was like a Filipino TV station that was found like in Pasadena.
Okay.
And there was this one guy. He's a cool guy, but it's just you could tell he's new to the game. Mm-hmm. It's like I asked him about, hey, are you guys seeking more Filipino talent, and what's the culture like there? Never got a response. I showed up there just to meet the programmers. Mm-hmm. His face saw me, and he went white.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he was like, oh my God, what is he doing here? It's like, dude, I'm not trying to take anyone's job. You have to understand the entertainment pie is huge.
Yeah.
There's room for everyone to improve.
But yeah, there is. There is.
There's room for everyone to share the pie.
Yep.
And one thing I found out, bro, that because I'm an illegitimate child, my mom's side didn't come from money. My dad came from money, but he was like the black sheep. So he wasn't like really responsible with money. Like I get along with Filipinos who are self-made.
Yeah.
That's where like you and I got along better. Mm-hmm. We used to have a mutual friend, and I was moving to the Philippines in 2011 to pursue radio and voiceover. And this dickhead said, what are you going to do in the Philippines? Mooch off your parents?
Wow.
I was like, dunzo.
Oh, yeah.
That's an example of like crabs in the barrel.
That actually, now that I think about it, that is a great example of it.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you support instead of judge?
That goes to, I have that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, they're all tied.
Wow. It is all tied. Yeah.
Should we close? Or you have something else to voice?
Yeah, I do.
Sure. Let's get down.
Well, there's just talking about this. It's like so dear to my heart because I love the Philippines, Charles, and I love our culture. I love the Filipinos, right? And that's the whole reason why I even agreed to do the pageant in the first place, because it was to uplift the Filipino culture, right? And that's why I called it Miss Beauty of the Philippines, because it's the beauty of the Filipino people, our land, our culture, our race, right? As a whole, right? And we are all over the globe now. There is this term that I've used in the past, and I think it's being used a lot now, but it's called global Filipino or global Pinoy, right? Because we're so... And one good thing about the Filipinos is you throw us anywhere in the world, we will adapt. We know how to adapt. We can get along with people, and we are hard workers. For the most part, we are hard workers, right? And I think that's why we're talking about this, is because we're trying to clarify why these traits are showing up in our culture. Like what's the history, or what's where did this all stem from? Because it had to have stemmed from something, right? And even the fact that, I
have a theory, by the way, when you're done.
Okay. Just like how we just the jeepney came from the American jeeps in the war, right? All these traits that we just listed, it stemmed from something in the past. and I'm excited to unearth all these traits. Like, we'll expose it and we'll create awareness for it, but we're gonna figure out why it's showing up.
Okay, so I'll close.
Yeah.
Let me start with the theory and then the relief.
Okay.
Okay, to end good. My theory is because we come from so many different originated backgrounds, there's no solidarity.
Oh.
It's one thing. Like the brilliance of Singapore. I spoke about Lee Kuan Yew, the first supposed organizer and chief president. He said, "You fucking Malaysians, be Malaysians. You Chinese, be Chinese. You Indians, be Indians. But here in Singapore, we're going to be together, but still be your own."
Wow.
Magnificent. Wow. And the second structure that Lee Kuan Yew set up was housing for the poor. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Because Singapore is a trading dock and port. Yo, we got to keep this shit clean. Every motherfucking boat comes here. We have to be industrious. So my first thing is there wasn't any structure from so many different ethnicities. Like I mentioned, the Itas, the Malays, the Indonesians, the Chinese, the Spanish, Voltron, Filipino.
Yeah.
The second thing is because we are mostly and primarily poor, every time everyone's trying to come up.
Wow, that's powerful.
Everyone's trying to come up, so it's like we are literally in that barrel. Oh, there's that crab. He's climbing up. Nope, let me try and use him as a ladder to get on top of him. Oh. And then the next other crab comes up. Oh my God. That's my way to the top of to escape the barrel. Because we're all universally poor. And the ones who made it, they're so far from acknowledging old moneyisms, they just look down at people.
Wow, which is sad. Yeah.
But here's the biggest relief for us. I'm learning that this is prevalent in Mexico, where the Euro Mexicans who are Spanish oriented look down on the darker Mexicans who are the Indios. South Africa has it. Brazil has it. Oh, no, you were a port slave.
Wow.
Why the fuck? No, tú eres un negrita. You're a fucking black chick.
Okay. Wow.
So until I started banging all these hot Mexican girls that I liked to, like I was going to take care of them and love them, I learned through their families that they have that too.
Wow.
And blacks have it too. And I'll play this audio bit from Kevin Hart.
Okay.
It comes off urban and comedic, but it's highly enlightening. This is Kevin Hart, and he's, I guess, on the Colbert Show. And he talks about black comedy and blacks who experience crabs in a barrel.
Will this book make people rich? If they read this book, will they have a prosperous life?
Absolutely not. What you will have is a different attitude in your approach to becoming prosperous. That's what this book will do. This book will simply make you stay true to your dream. It will make you be determined to find the successful version of yourself. At the end of the day, I want people to be better. That's why I'm sharing this information. I don't want to be successful by myself. There's enough success in the world for everybody. Everybody should be able to get a piece. And I think that if everybody adapts that mindset, that our world will ultimately become a better place. Right now, it's a crab in a barrel mentality. And it takes people to speak up about being positive, about bringing people closer together. And that's what I do, man.
What is a crab? What is a crab in a barrel mentality?
A crab in a barrel. You put a bunch of crabs in a barrel. Yeah. Every crab that tries to climb out of the barrel, there's another crab that's going to grab that crab and pull him back in. Eventually, no crabs can get out the barrel because they're all pulling each other back down because they're all trying to get to the top. No crab is helping. How do you not know that? I don't understand.
Because I haven't read your damn book yet.
So there you go. Just learning. This is what I mean where you just can't be native. With the power of the internet, you can experience other cultures already and go, oh, we're not the only ones experiencing that. They are too. it's not the context of saying, hey, you're fucked up too. No, it's like, okay, I don't have to be insecure anymore because other people than other Filipinos, this is just a human experience. This is not a fucked up Filipino thing. This is an everybody thing.
Nice. That's true.
So that's episode number 2.
Yeah. I love it. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, so signing off with Russell and Charles, it's Plug 1 2, episode 2, Crabs in a Barrel.